Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. This is Rami, your host. I'm very excited today to introduce you to Gwyn Dylan from the Meetup. He's currently serving as the Vice President of Customer Service and Operation at Meetup, the company and the platform that I always use and I love to use it. And today we're going to talk about customer service and the culture, which is the backbone of any companies. Gwyn, thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for coming in. And thank you, I know how busy you are. And thank you for, coordinating your time and giving me some time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I always was wondered that what really makes a great company. And I believe the customer service is a backbone of any company. Any company. It doesn't matter. It's a small or large or medium size. But that's the question. Before that comes into the culture, how we're going to create that culture that support that mission, the mission that says we care about our clients before anything else, before our shareholders. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I come from sort of a rich background of working for companies that really value customer service in sort of that. Sorry, my cat is jumping on my lap, of course, right now.
Man.
So
I have one.
Yeah, I come from, so you know how it is. I come from a background of companies that really put customer service right in the center of their business model. So Starbucks, Apple, that's the background that I come from. And so when I came to Meetup in 2017, really looking at how can we bring a customer first sort of culture to the company. The first sort of pillar of that, I believe, is really working very closely with the product teams, and sharing. The customer support team is on the front lines, connecting with customers and really hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on with the product. And I really do believe that a strong customer support team is at its best when it's able to capture the insights and really provide the product team, the engineering team, with a true and clear perspective on how customers are experiencing the product. And, as much as like amazing customer support to help fix the problems, to have an efficient solution is helpful and profound. Customers don't want to write in. They want to have a good experience with the products. And that's really what I think we want to provide. At Meetup is let's identify where there are problems and let's really build sustainable solutions within the product and the product experience and the customer's experience so that they don't have to write in if we can avoid it.
Yeah, the Meetup, especially if, right now the organization that we work and I use it all the time, and is basically a platform that connect people, like make my life much easier by bringing all my people together and manage not only event, but build my connections. Business or personal, it doesn't matter. And I really love the customer support. If you have any question, they will answer, and they do their best. But going back to that customer service that you said, I think each division of any company, even a Meetup or Apple, they have that level of customer service that it must be in harmony with the other layers in the company. Absolutely. Otherwise, it's going to be a disconnecting between all the layers. How you guys do that? How you suggest that companies, they have to kind of make it like in one set, like make sure everything speaks to each other. All the layers are working together through one goal, which is ultimate is happy customers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the most difficult questions to answer for companies and organizations is how do you bring harmony and efficiency and quality across organizations. And I you know, in my experience, it is really important to have every employee within an organization engaged in the customer experience. So having some level of using the product, engaging with the customers, and understanding how customers are experiencing the product or set of products. So, you know, that's one piece of it. I think, outside of that, it's also really important for there to be clarity of what the objectives are, right? If, you know, there's so many different ways that a company can sort of prioritize what are the things that we can do to drive value for our customers to improve the product. There's so many different ways. And I think it's really important to develop a framework that is sort of collaboratively designed cross-departmentally, where you have the customer support team, you have the product teams, you have the engineering teams, and the marketing teams working together to identify and to collaborate on what are the things we want to prioritize when we look at the product and the customer experience, what our customers are telling us. So I think it's kind of both. It's like putting that quality and defining quality as how the customers define quality. You know, I think what we see from time to time in companies is that quality may not be defined as what customers, how customers define quality. So understanding how do they derive value out of the product, right? So for Meetup, like you said, it's really about, you know, our main customers are the organizers, the passionate, generous folks that want to develop their communities, and they want to use Meetup as a platform to attract and identify people who would be interested in joining their groups and events. And so for those customers, like you said, you use Meetup. You know, it's a place where you can create a group and schedule events and manage everything from communicating the events to attracting different people. And so what are the things that we can do at Meetup to make that experience better for you, the organizer, and for the members who are using Meetup to find events that they're interested in? How can we do that? And that's really where we need to, you know, we seek to define quality versus, you know, what maybe, you know, what I or maybe another executive at Meetup thinks is the right way to do things. So let's take it to the customers. Let's understand what they're saying. And how do we do that? We use a lot of data, we do a lot of analysis, and we do a lot of collaboration with our marketing teams and our product teams and our engineering teams.
Basically, you know, you guys build Meetup as, you know, customer feedback comes in and you get it, you improve it, you make sure the quality is there. Or if something needs to be fixed, we will fix it based on the customer feedback to satisfy the customer service at the end of the life cycle. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. It's to satisfy the customer service and to create a scenario where it's just seamless. Like I almost feel like, you know, Apple, for example, anybody who has used an Apple product, or most people will, you know, the experience is like, you don't think about it. It's basically natural. It's absolutely seamless. You sort of know what to expect, and anything outside of that expectation, that's when you get customer support involved. And so I think it's like, there's this invisible standard of quality that we sort of all take for granted as consumers. And when it's absent, that's when we need to get customer support involved. And I think that's really the goal, on one level for Meetup, is how do we create a product that works exactly intuitively in a way that you would expect it to work, to do what it's meant to do. There's that aspect of it. And then there's this other aspect that's like, when it doesn't work, how do we create a very efficient easy experience to get the help that you need from knowledgeable people who can get you back up and running and back to using the product the way that you want to, and intuitively would expect it to function. And I think the third piece of it is success, right? And how do we build, especially with Meetup, how do we take best practices that we know successful organizers have developed and are using to create thriving communities? And how do we share that with people who are just getting started in creating communities, and make sure that there's a place or there are forums for them to trade tips and tricks and ideas and best practices, so that there is this sort of grassroots cycle of folks helping each other be successful on the platform.
Basically, in Meetup, as my understanding, you have two phases. One, you deal with like the organizations or the event center, am I right? And then one, you deal with the public, which is the consumers that they're gonna connect with those organizations to conduct a meeting or
right.
The event and everything is. How you guys work with these there's two different things, there are two different, expectation. And I know as far as the business, I know sometimes it can be very difficult. How you get this feedback from the organization that, hey, you got to give me this kind of people, this is and how these other people, they're asking some other stuff, the public, how you bring all this together? Like it can be a little bit challenging, I think.
Sure. Yeah, it is. And even within what you're, how you're describing it, there's even more nuance, because we have sort of different levels of community, right? So we have the core Meetup platform is really consumer based. So you have the organizers who are like, just people like you and I, anybody can sign up, have a subscription, and start creating groups and hosting events. And these are folks who are, it could be anybody from, hey, I want to start an outdoor hiking group. I want to go hiking on the weekends, and I'm going to start a group. I'm going to start hosting events on the weekends, and hopefully people in my geolocation will show up and we'll go hiking together. And so that's, at the core, that's like what our core product is. And that's sort of what the spirit of Meetup was when it was founded in 2002. It really came out of the founder, Scott Heiferman. He lived in New York City during 9/11. And he experienced this sense of community and camaraderie within his neighborhood and his apartment building that he never experienced before. And he was like, why does it take a tragedy to empower folks to want to kind of build community, or to kind of, cajole people into like, hey, I want to get to know my neighbors. There's like, there needs to be a platform to this. And so that's really what Meetup, how it was conceived, or why it was conceived. And that's what it is at core, right? It's really like right now we're in this huge this moment of, COVID, but also even prior to COVID, there was a pandemic, and there are articles about the pandemic of loneliness. And COVID has only exacerbated this issue where people are lonely on a level that they've never felt before. And so, why technology, social media, while it sort of bridges gaps, it's actually it doesn't actually help people connect with each other. And Meetup is a social platform that kind of helps people get rid of their devices and go and meet people in person, use their devices to actually meet in person or virtually, like on Zoom. But it was, first and foremost, an in-person community-based platform. And so what we at Meetup, I think one of the great things about working at Meetup is that we're all really mission-driven, and we all feel really motivated by what we're doing. We feel like we are creating a cure and opportunities for people to cure this pandemic of loneliness. There were actual doctors that prescribe Meetup to patients when they're complaining of loneliness, or that they don't have community. And so this is something that the organizers on Meetup, who I get to talk to a whole heck of a lot, this is what they're passionate about, is creating these spaces. And so when we talk about being successful or helping these organizers be successful, one of the things that we've done at Meetup is we've created a Discord community for organizers. And we don't, we allow people who aren't actual, like they maybe aren't paying subscriptions, but we're like, everybody can come in. If you're curious about becoming an organizer, come into the Discord community, talk to other organizers, ask questions. Whatever struggles you're having, another organizer's probably had it. Ask about it. And so it's this amazing, vibrant community on Discord of people who are organizing meetup events and meetup groups who are connecting, and helping each other sort of, develop these communities. And then on another level, we have what you were sort of describing, this like business. There are businesses that use Meetup to scale, create communities at scale. There are, different tech companies who have multiple groups for developers across the world, and different developers will host groups and have events in their geolocations or online. And so, it's while we have these business relationships with the larger brands, it really is at core, it's helping people who want to organize community do that. And it's really, really like a simple concept of how do we create the opportunities and offer the tooling to make it very easy for people to use the technology to get off of the internet, or to use Zoom to connect, right? Like Zoom or video conferencing to connect. So it's like the pandemic is when we really started to lean into these virtual platforms. Prior to the pandemic of COVID, Meetup was really first and foremost about in person. We were pretty emphatic. We wanted it to be like virtual was like it wasn't banned, but we didn't encourage it. When the pandemic came, obviously we had to embrace it. And so we have done that because we've realized there's demand for virtual community. But we still really love in-person events, and we believe that in-person is the purest way of connecting people.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because the reason that we are using, be honest with you, the Meetup is, we are a tech company, and we have different events, not only with our different groups like entrepreneurs or tech startup founders or anything educational, informational. The good thing is that, as you had mentioned, we can bring these people together face to face, because the true value of connecting with people is just face to face. That can be through Zoom, or that can be through Meetup, which is a great platform. I think, the whole thing about connecting with people has changed since 9/11. And, or the pandemic, because I read this story about the Meetup, how started it. And it was very touching, inspiring, that it was a time that there was a need, and people, they were devastated, and they all going to get together. And, the Meetup started, growing and getting people together. And that was the right time. But at the end, as you had mentioned again, it's all about the people and bring the people together, internally or externally, because, as you said, your culture is basically based on bringing people together. Those all people, they all trying to bring people together. And if they don't have that kind of mindset, you're not going to have a culture. If you don't have a culture, you're not going to have the quality and the customer service that you talk about. Therefore, I think, this is my opinion, that the people can make you or break you, and how you bring them together is an art. Is really important. You have been in the customer service for a long time, and for example, I go to fast food. I go get a coffee. Different businesses. Every time you go, everybody say different things. How they take order, everything else. What is, in your opinion, what is the really simplest way, or the simple key to having a successful customer service? What in this organization they have to understand, it's a very simple thing that they can do to at least reach 90% of their, customer service satisfaction.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just authentic empathy, right? Like anybody who is a customer service professional, I think has gotten into that line of work because there is some pull towards helping people, right? and towards solving problems, towards helping people have an experience, right? A positive experience. And so I think with customer service, whether it's in the service industry, in the food service industry, in tech support, in hospitality, any of these things, folks who work on these front lines that are interacting with customers are really, there's an intrinsic pleasure in, thank you. That was very helpful. And I think the secret to that is it's not really much of a secret. It's pretty intuitive. It's like being real, being really empathetic, and authentically wanting to help somebody with their problems that they're having. That translates, right? You can't make that up. And when on the other side of that, when somebody doesn't want to help, you can feel that too, right? When there's a resistance or a rudeness or a barrier, the customer or the person who's helping, the employee, they feel that too. And that's not a successful interaction, obviously. But I think anybody who wants to approach customer service as a profession, it's really just about a sincere desire to help people have a positive experience with whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I go to Chick-fil-A a lot. I'm sure, you have experienced that. And then no matter what, and this is, I say publicly, no matter what, they always say, my pleasure. Like they take an order, like I go at least 3 times in the morning, get my breakfast. Can I have your name, please? And then as soon as they say, thank you for order, my pleasure. And one day I asked the guy, I said, why you guys always say this? He said, because we believe we are in the service and this is part of our culture, because we cannot survive without our clients and the people that coming here. And it would be our pleasure to serve them. And I thought maybe, okay, he's saying this, but next day, the same thing, next day, the same thing. I think the consistency, what I'm getting out of it is the consistency of our system, process, and customer service, that organization, they have to understand that the consistency is the key. Do you agree with that?
Do I agree with that? That's well, first, I've never actually been to Chick-fil-A. So that's an issue. Yeah. I think that there is a school of thought that would, especially at scale, when you're looking at like a huge company with thousands and thousands of brick and mortar, locations, that you want to have that consistency at scale. And certainly, there's, a vast, operational approaches to developing that consistency. Checklists and, quality assurance practices and training and secret shoppers and all of that, right? That can ensure that there is accountability, and feedback loops that ensure that level of consistency being executed. Frankly, I really, having worked in those settings, what I actually believe is that if the employees and the people who are performing that work truly believe that it is their pleasure to serve customers and are feeling like they're being treated fairly in the workplace, they're being paid fairly, all of those things, that's really what makes the difference. And that translates to the customer. That's what I really believe, is that it's, of course, you want to have all of the training, the scalable training, and the ways to sort of hold people accountable to executing. But at the end of the day, if people are really being treated well in a workplace, any workplace, that's going to translate to the customer. And I think there's more evidence of that in recent sort of studies and approaches to customer service in recent years. And I think that things are changing where it's not just, we're going to tell you have to say my pleasure to customers after you, that there's actually, I think, less of that didactic, scripted customer service, and more treating an employee as a whole human, and really looking at what are the benefits, what is the pay, what are the hours folks are working, what do they actually want, and let's treat them well. And then that translates to the customer.
Oh, but you basically telling that if you're taking care of your staff or your employees, they will taking care of your customers or your clients. Is that right?
Yep. I believe that to be true.
Yeah, but how the question is how we can create that system that the companies doesn't actually treat their people as a number rather than a human. That's the challenge, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree that is a challenge, especially when you're looking at large scale operations, right? But you know, I believe that it can be done. I've seen it and experienced it in the companies that I've worked for in the past, and I think it is really, yeah, like it is. You know, for example, Starbucks, for example, they have they've had part-time employees have benefits. They offer, I believe college tuition is paid, to, I think it's like Arizona State University. I think little things like that make a big difference. And I think that there's also what I've seen is a willingness, what I've observed and what I believe is effective is a willingness to change and grow policies with the times, and to sort of understand that, you know, what may have been an appropriate employee policy in 2005 is not, it needs to be looked at and changed and evolved to meet sort of the incoming workforce, the needs of the people, to understand what's going on societally, what, you know, there's a lot happening in the world. How can a big corporation or even a smaller corporation really look at what the needs are and evaluate what the needs are of the employees, survey the employees and understand what are you looking for in a company? What are you looking for in an employee culture, and how can we work together to provide that? I think that that's a really important dialogue. That's a two-way street for any employer-employee relationship at any scale.
I totally agree, but my next question is this: do you believe the customers comes first, shareholders seconds, and then executive third, or what is your order of your?
Well, yeah, I absolutely believe the customer comes first with pretty much no exception. I think it's very important for customer quality, as I said at the beginning of this conversation. The customer's perspective of what quality is what really needs to be considered first and foremost and prioritized. I
agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Shareholders. Yeah. I mean, the shareholders are very important. And I think that's, I mean, if you're to prioritize the three, it would be customers, shareholders, and executives. And the executives, I don't know. I mean, the executives to me are in service of the company and the shareholders and the customers, right? And so really, I don't even think that it factors in terms of priority of what if the executive team is, and this is how I think we operate at Meetup, we are in service to the customers, the shareholders, and the employees. Three, the employees are, I think, what really make ours important in that equation, right? You have the customers, you have the shareholders, and the employees. The executive team is like just in service to those pillars.
Yeah, I had a question from another executive. He said our order is, you know, the customer first, employee seconds, and shareholder third. Mm-hmm. And he even took the executive out of it, as you said. He said that, you know, executives are, you know, in the service, but he said, you know, without customer, there's no employee. Without no employees, there's no shareholders. Yeah. And I kind of like that. But, you know, as you know, and as I know, these days, especially right now, with this big competition that is going on, with this all like fluctuating the economy and everything else, I think companies with a great quality and a good customer service, they will make it.
Yes.
Like Meetup would be around for a long time, and they will be around for a long time. I know a lot of competitors, they came, and be honest with you, we are still stick with the Meetup because that's something works, and we don't change it, and we're not going to reinvent the wheel. And, you know, we kind of, it's just simple. We got used to it and we love it. Yeah. And it was a big thing for us. And, you know, as a matter of fact, next week we have a big event that we did it through Meetup, you know, is the bringing the people together. That's the mission. I think the main mission of the Meetup as I'm understanding that their big mission is just bringing people together. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's what sustains us as a company, but I think more importantly as a society. And what we really do understand is that people who are in community are able to connect with others, have a more fulfilling existence. And
Wow.
that's,
Wow.
that's profound, right? And it's something that I think it's a touch point that we can always sort of return to as we sort of ask ourselves, okay, well, what does it mean to have a quality, to provide a quality experience for our customers and for our organizers? What does it mean to provide a quality experience for our members? How do we define that, and how do we elevate it within the company? There's always, there have been many, because Meetup is a 20-plus-year-old company. There have been many eras, and I think the era that we're currently in now is defined as where can we improve the experience for our organizers and members in small but meaningful ways, right? We don't need to make huge changes to our product to improve the experience at scale. And
Not only great experience, but the quality experience. Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think it's just the little things. I mean, if you use Meetup regularly, it's generally very good and very consistent, but there's little things that can be tweaked and can be improved. And I think over the last year, we made a lot of improvements to some of the core functionality around.
A couple of them that I like, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were some of them, the ones that stood out to you?
The one that, just especially for organization part, the tweaking the functionality and our dashboard, how we can, do this stuff, that kind of different stuff that they added it.
Yes.
It's for the organization as us, like as a company that, our hands is a little bit more open right now to one with those little things that they added it. But where you see what is in the horizon for Meetup? You're deep into it. Where are you guys going? Because
I think in the next few years, what we're really looking forward to doing is improving our communication tools on just in basic ways to sort of bring it into 2023. What people expected 2023 of communication tools. We did that in the last year with improving our event chat tooling. So it's a lot more intuitive to what you would expect out of like a text message. You can add GIFs, you can add attachments. It's just a much more sort of chattable experience. We're looking to make improvements to our Pro product, which is bigger network building, allows people to build community at scale, allows you to have those dashboards and insights that you're talking about. And so improving that, making it a lot more user friendly. We're looking at continuing to improve the way Meetup members can help organizers offset the cost of their subscription through tipping, fundraising, dues, ticketing, that kind of thing. So we're looking to kind of make improvements, small but meaningful improvements to those core functionalities, and just generally really drive the member experience. So bringing more members in, making sure that those members can find the groups that they're looking for, that organizers are able to attract the type of people that they want to come to their events, that their events are front and center for those folks. And then again, creating those opportunities at scale for folks that want to take their groups to the next level and create global networks.
Yeah, but as I see right now, more people are joining Meetup. Like, be honest with you, any organization that I talk to, they said, hey, just put in the Meetup, what group are you? What organization are you? We can find you, all that stuff. But I'm so happy that you guys are growing, and you guys are doing a fantastic job as far as, the customer service part and all the, the growth and the culture and everything else. But what is at the end, what is your advice for the people that they're going to build a great customer service system? What they have to do? Very simple.
Yeah, very simple is be able to measure and analyze what your customers are saying. What are they writing in about? What are they calling in about? What are those pain points for them? And be able to really categorize it and surface those insights in a way that's meaningful for the product and engineering teams. And so that you can actually show like a heat map almost of where are the biggest friction points within the product. And then from a customer support operational perspective, where are the biggest pain points within that, the customer support process. And so really understanding those areas, in a way that you can analyze and you can say, okay, if I want to prioritize what's going to have the biggest impact on improving customer satisfaction, okay, it's going to be these top 3 things are driving the most volume. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create an action plan to address those areas. And then we're going to move on to the next 3 things. But to do that, you have to have those insights. And so it really requires having a strong CRM, to be able to intake those insights and to be able to develop reporting and to create, to analyze, to identify where those areas are.
That's the great advice. I totally agree with you because, as I said earlier at the beginning, that the foundation of any organization, if you said it, and I agree with it, that is a customer service and, taking care of your people. It's like a kind of ecosystem. And that's not going to happen by just saying it. It happens by actually doing it and get the feedback and data and analyze it and all that stuff and build it layer by layer. And I think at the end will work and they're going to, anybody can follow it and be successful. But, the customer service is my favorite topic. I can talk to you about that all day. It is one of my favorite topics. But Gwyn, thank you so much, my friend, to be here. I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are, but you accepted it. Our invitation. That means
Yes.
a lot, my man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I look forward for your growth, the company, and we would be in touch soon for another subject. Or we talk.
Cool.
We would be in touch. But once again, thank you so much. And we will put your information and people that can reach out to you because our listeners, our viewers, they love to ask questions. If they have any question, they can reach out to you for that. And you're in LinkedIn and we put all that stuff down here. But
and I'd love to share the Discord community link. Organizers.
That would be wonderful. And then this is something that we can find out or you can send it to us that we can
I can send
put
it
down. That would be wonderful. And then when we publish this, we can really put it there. People that can get in there and just, enjoy that community as well. But thank you so much. And you have a wonderful evening.
Yeah. Man. Thank you so much. Take care. It was my pleasure to be on here.